All right, here we go. We're finally into the last 30 days of activity until you get to the 152nd running of the Kentucky Derby. So now that we've pretty much run through all of the important Kentucky Derby prep races, the Lexington is coming up, but that has zero bearing on the Kentucky Derby field. So we can now officially start dialing in our favorite runners. So now we're going to take a look at our top five right here with 30 days remaining. First, we'll take a look at what's happening with our Kentucky Derby leaderboard, where our runners stand right now, and if there could be any movement on the board for the next 30 days. Commandment, top spot there, further ado. Renegade, So Happy, Full Effort. The Puma, Silent Tactic, Emerging Market, Albus, and Potente. Unless we have any injuries, those runners appear to be on their way to Louisville, Kentucky. Then you've got Pavlovian. You know, he will qualify, but I don't think he belongs in the race, but we'll see. Then you've got Right to Party, who still needs to be supplemented for, I do believe, $6,000. Kenny McPeak said they will do that. He's a closer. That's improving. Incredibolt is there. Golden Tempo, we'll see what that horse wants to do. Otino, I don't know if he wants to go class president. He's had to scratch out the last race, so I'm not sure if he's confirmed. Stark Contrast got run down on the synthetic. I don't know. Then you've got the runners that have the automatic berth, right? From the Japan Road to the Kentucky Derby. Denon Bourbon made the move from off the pace. Really wasn't that special of a race. Wonder Dean, I think, was interesting because Wonder Dean had to run down Lone Speed in the UAE Derby, and that Lone Speed was 6 speed. Now, I would never believe that speed that doesn't come from North America can possibly succeed in this race, but the horse was out there, decent fractions, and Wonder Dean had to go get him, and Wonder Dean was the only one coming to get 6 speed. So if they accept their nomination, they will be intriguing. Iron Honor has speed, Chief Wallaby has speed, Chip Honcho has speed, Intrepido does not, Universe does not, Greediness does not. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Iron Honor, Chief Wallaby, and Chip Honcho get into this race in terms of points. I don't think Chip Honcho is good enough, so I would be really, really surprised if Steve Asmussen went ahead with this runner. So that's what our qualifying list looks like for your Kentucky Derby points. Now let's start kind of dialing in to our top 5. Not in any order necessarily, but 5 horses that I believe will have an impact on the outcome. Incredibolt, very impressive in the Virginia Derby. Further Ado, probably even more impressive in the Bluegrass. So Happy, very versatile in the Santa Anita Derby. Renegade, extremely impressive in the Arkansas Derby. And Full Effort, very nice performance there in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. That's my top 5. I believe these horses all have something to offer, and I think they're extremely valuable. Let's talk about each one quickly. All right, so you've got Incredibolt, who, if you look at the past performances as they were going in to the Virginia Derby, I thought the horse has been really, really consistent. And I think what makes Incredibolt stand out, obviously, are the 2 victories going 2 turns at Churchill Downs. Going a mile and then a mile and a 16th. Very impressive. I think he has tactical speed, and the 2 victories over the Churchill Dirt are really, really, really huge. They go a long way towards getting a horse some support and, showing that the horse can handle that surface. Then you take a look at what the horse did in the Virginia Derby. Got a dream trip, sat just off, ducked down to the rail, and really winning comfortably. He didn't really beat a whole lot. In that field, you've got Ocelli, who's the maiden that just keeps running 3rd and 4th, and Butane, the Baffert horse we thought was going to be better, and he's not. Greediness, I don't know. He's on the back end of that list of Kentucky Derby qualifiers, so he probably won't get in. So Incredibolt probably did not beat a very strong field, but once again, nice performance. He needed it. It was the second off of the layoff. So he ran that Holy Bull after he'd been off since October 26th. And I thought it was really nice. And so he's probably got some room to improve, and we'll see if he can get a little bit better. But he's probably going to be over bet, and that might be a reason to go against. Next up is Further Ado. This runner has tactical speed and has a stakes win at Churchill, which is really impressive. And we also can see that he can close. That victory at Keeneland by 20, that's ridiculous. Then came back to win at Churchill. I mean, that's really nice. Then he runs second off of the long layoff in the Tampa Bay Derby. And then after that performance, he's able to come right back and look really good in the Bluegrass. He probably had a softer field than we expected because some horses had to scratch out, but he still did a great job, and he just absolutely crushed that field by 11. This horse is for real. And, I don't know what his value is going to be, but he's definitely a horse you want to put in your top 5. That's for sure. Then you get to a horse like So Happy. He is lightly raced, does not have a lot of experience, but he has some talent and some sneaky speed. You see there in that 7 furlong race, and then the San Felipe when they stretched him out for the first time and he was forwardly placed. I like that, and I think that's going to be key because I don't really see a tremendous amount of just flat-out speed thus far in this Derby field. Of course, we know that once the race is run, there'll be some jockeys and some horses that'll be a little too keen, and they'll come out there and they'll probably end up trying to force the pace. But we've also seen horses get away with things in the Derby when they're not challenged. And with Mike Smith in the irons, I think that this horse is dangerous because Mike's one of the first ones to be able to assess, hey, you're going to go slow? Fine, I'll take it away from you. And he did a great job of just sitting right off the pace there in the Santa Anita Derby. Potente and Cherokee Nation and Robusta, mainly Robusta because Cherokee Nation was horrible. Robusta and Potente were up there trying to push that pace, and Mike had a very comfortable spot right off of them. I think he can get the same trip in the Kentucky Derby. I wouldn't be surprised if when they break out of the gate, Mike decides to just be super assertive and take it to the field. I think this horse could be really, really dangerous, and he might be able to steal away from the runners in the Kentucky Derby. That's a huge if. It's a huge if. We'll track his workouts and see how he's prepping leading up to the big race. Then you have the horse that may have been one of the most impressive runners. Let's take a look at what Renegade did coming into his last Derby prep. So you see his debut, right? Not good at Saratoga. Throw that out. Got to the Belmont meeting at Aqueduct, won that race, but was disqualified. Okay. Then came back when they stretched him out in the Remsen. I thought it was a nice performance. Shut him down. Came back after a layoff. Looked really good in the Sam F. Davis. Okay, the horse doesn't have a whole lot of experience, but he could be peaking at the right time. And that's one of those things you're going to be looking for this year with a lot of runners who have limited experience. It could be perfect timing, right? Where they get right into themselves right in that first weekend of May, and they kind of carry that through the summer. Renegade looks like the kind of horse that will do that. What he did in the Arkansas Derby was really impressive, and he beat a good field. He beat Silent Tactic, Taptastic, Bricklin, Blackout Time, and Redland Rebels is speed, by the way, and Litmus Test is the other speed for Bob Baffert. That wasn't a field of scrubs. They were decent, and he just absolutely crushed that field. So Renegade definitely should be on your top 5 list. And the only thing that you should be concerned about is what kind of value I'm going to get. Last year was really a great indicator of how the best horse can still bring back a great price. We all knew going into the Derby that Sovereignty was the best horse. A lot of folks like journalism, but the overall, people really like Sovereignty. And he went off at 7-1. That's great value on a Derby winner that you had good reason to have plenty of confidence in. I liked the horse, but I wanted to get more, and I really thought Final Gambit would be able to run them down. He ran a nice 4th, just not good enough, but I thought he ran a great race. Sovereignty obviously deserved that. But my point being, you can still get a price on a horse that a lot of people have been talking about and they like. The last horse I want to talk about is Full Effort. Speaking of Final Gambit, this is this year's Final Gambit. Full Effort is a very solid closer. Look at what he's been able to do in all of his starts on the turf and on the synthetic. He makes his run every single time. And obviously the question is going to be, can the horse handle the dirt, right? That's obvious. But, I think there's a trend that I am really falling into. And We saw that full effort is great on turf and synthetic. He goes to the dirt for the very first time. Extremely consistent closing on the synthetic and the turf. Ever since Rich Strike was able to pull off the upset after he had won by, 12 lengths on the Churchill Downs surface and then went and prepped over the synthetic and couldn't win over the synthetic, but he was improving over the synthetic. Then I go to Final Gambit from last year. I thought that he, was improving from the turf to the synthetic, and I thought he did a great job making the transition to the dirt on that particular day. And so I think we have a bit of a trend, and here's the trend, if you want to say it's a trend. The horses that are prepping on the synthetic, in my opinion, it's obviously less wear and tear on the horse. And I think they get a great deal of fitness, especially running at Turfway Park. So I think that is kind of an added bonus for the runners when they're prepping over the synthetic, specifically at Turfway Park. So now we come to the point where we've taken a look at our top 5. We've seen the leaderboard. We have 30 days to really lock in our decision. Less than 30 days, as a matter of fact, to lock in our decision. So if the race were being run today with the field that we just saw, I'm going to go with this runner here. You probably could sense that. Full Effort is going to be my top pick because I really, really love the synthetic to dirt angle. I think it has benefits for the horse that are definitely physical. Like I said, I think they get a lot of fitness out of it, and it doesn't have as much wear and tear, which is why they came up with the synthetic for 2 reasons. For weather, right? Because you didn't want to continue to have to cancel races and move them on the dirt to the turf. So synthetic allowed you to kind of not worry about the weather. And because of the surface and the bottom, like the foundation, it's very forgiving for the horses. So they really do well over it, and I think they get great fitness. And I think this horse, if he can get a duel up front, I think it's going to set up for him beautifully. Now that is the big question, and those are the doubts that I have. I'm not certain we're going to get a massive or a major speed duel or push up front. We don't really have like one confirmed horse where we know that horse is going. Like every year we have one horse that we say, oh, that horse has no other way to go but to the front end. We don't really have that this year, but that could have the reverse effect, and it could set it up for more horses than we expect to try to push for the lead to get position. If he can get that, I really, really believe that Full Effort will be in the great spot to run them down. Now, the other top horses are also closers just like him, so they're all going to be looking for the same spot, trying to find a seam and trying to get traction and trying to get to the winner's circle. But I really think this horse has something special. Now, here's the deal. I don't have to lock into this because I don't have to bet the horse today. But I do believe that if they ran the race today, that would be my number 1 pick. All right? There it is. I wanted to wait till all the Derby preps were completed until I finally started to whittle down my list. And these 5 horses, I believe, are really talented. And they have a great chance to score. We're going to make some money this year. All right. That's how we do it here on Horse Race Bets. In the meantime, in between time, until next time, I'm Ken Rudolph. Good luck and enjoy whatever you're into, and we'll see you next time.